I just had one of the most impactful conversations, probably of my life, with a very skilled and high level life coach. And I'm making this video truthfully so that I remember and cement the lessons that I learned in it, but also so that you can take some lessons away and hopefully experience a lot more joy and fulfillment from your 20s than people who don't know these lessons. So, to start, the first thing that was really a kind of mental reframe for me, because I've kind of been all over the place these past couple years, from New Mexico playing Division II college football to going to South America and studying yoga. It's felt like I've been very unfocused, and I haven't really been able to lock down my priorities. And I always viewed this as like a hindrance, like if only I found the one thing. But he actually made me realize that being unfocused is actually productive, especially when you're in your 20s. Now, he gave an analogy that's um, basically, I'll just explain it. So you don't want to be focused on one thing in your 20s because you haven't experienced anything yet. You have to be unfocused. You have to experience a little bit of everything, because that's how you experience life, and that's how you determine what is actually important enough to you to focus on. Because if you just take to the first thing that you ever learn, the first thing like if I the first thing I ever learned was football when I was like 4 years old. If I only focused on that my whole entire life, my life would probably be a lot less rich, and I probably wouldn't be as happy, because I wouldn't have gotten to go experience the mental transformation that I got from yoga, from studying with masterful yoga teachers in South America. I wouldn't have got the life experience of traveling, meeting people. There's just so many things that I wouldn't have gotten I did not if I only focused on one thing. So that made me realize that being unfocused is actually productive, and you need to be unfocused in your 20s to understand what actually matters and what's worth focusing on. The next lesson is that you can't make mistakes. Now, I will add, there's a layer to this. Like, you obviously don't want to act immoral, you don't want to act stupid. Like, you can make mistakes, but for the most part, you can't make mistakes because you're so young. The mistakes are only learning. You can move across the country in a month, and it wouldn't be a mistake. Even if it didn't work out, it's not a mistake, because you learned from it. You got yourself exposure to new experience and got closer to understanding what you want out of life. So there are no mistakes, only lessons in this time. And that's important why you spend the next 10 years wisely, because the more you experience now, the more lessons that you learn and pick up and carry with you along the way, the more fulfilled and ready you will be in your 30s to buckle down and focus on what really matters, because you'll know what really matters and you'll be in alignment with your priorities if you go out and spend your 20s wisely. And so the next thing kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that you can't make mistakes, but that's just learning to reframe failure. Because a lot of people think, like I've thought before, like, since I haven't lived up to my own expectations or goals that I've set, that I'm not a failure, but it feels like you're a failure sometimes. But the truth is that failures are just lessons. You can view it as data. We all have this innate human drive and need to feel a sense of comfort and security. And anytime we go outside of that, it's going to be uncomfortable, and we're going to risk failing, or failing by society's standard. You can't really fail. But you can also reframe these failures and these things that don't work out as lessons, as long as you do this key thing, which is learn from them. If you learn from every failure, then you're going to learn and accelerate a lot quicker than the people that stay in one place, don't leave their security and their comfort zone. And you will ultimately get a lot more fulfillment out of life, and you will understand yourself more because you've put yourself in these circumstances and situations. So these two go hand in hand. You can't make mistakes, and you can't really fail. You can only learn lessons. That's as long as you're being smart and acting morally with good intentions. And the next And final step that I'll leave you with is that the first step is not the hardest. There's a lot of people that say like the first step is always the hardest, or a journey of 10,000 miles starts with a single step. But a lot of people make the first step the hardest by working it up in their mind to being something that's very difficult, when in reality, if you take the right first step in the right way, it should be something that is easy, and it should be encouraging and help you on your path. It shouldn't be a whole lot of resistance in starting with that first step, because you should have a structured plan where the first step is very surmountable and you'll be able to do it with ease. And so that also kind of coincides with the idea I talked about in one of my other videos about doing lessons from 30 months of cold plunging, is that you often build up the first step to be bigger than it is. And once you actually take that first step, you just do it, you realize that it was nothing to be afraid of in the first place. So leaving this video, I encourage you guys to get out of your comfort zone. Find what you've been putting off. What's that first step that you've just been like thinking about and deliberating for a long time, and how can you take it from your mind to reality by just doing the thing and taking that first step? I really appreciate you guys watching this video. As part of my first step, I'm offering some free coaching, a free 6-week coaching program to any of you out here that might be interested in working with me in person or one-on-one through like Zoom calls or Google Meet. And if that's something you might be interested in, I'm helping you guys with your fitness, your health, your mental health, your mindset, maybe even your business, every aspect of life that you might need help in. This is just my next step. And if you're interested, book a call down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.